Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We got a great interview for you guys today. It is with Andrew DeGroot, GG's basketball alumni. And yeah, before we get into it, I really appreciate if you hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. Okay, enjoy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am super excited about today's guest. We have GG's basketball alumni, Andrew DeGroot, in the house. How you doing, man?
Oh, pretty good, man. Thanks for having me. It's always good to connect with old friends. So,
Yeah, I know. We've definitely had our fair share of conversations, whether in the classroom or just kind of running into each other. So I'm excited to have you
mhm.
on and just get to chat about basketball and academics and everything with you.
Of course, of course.
So yeah, man, tell me where the love of basketball all began for you. Where it kind of started being like, you know what, this is something that I want to try and pursue.
Right, right. So, sure. So, actually, when I grew up in Aurora. I actually grew up playing a lot of street hockey. And hockey was always my first choice of sport. Followed the Leafs, watched like CBC Saturday Night Hockey all the time. Everyone played in this town. But I have a big family, four younger brothers and an older sister. And hockey, as most people know, is a very expensive sport. It's very time consuming. So just growing up with that family so big, my family couldn't afford to have me in hockey. So, I was kind of disappointed, but then started playing basketball with my brother, some kids around the neighborhood, starting to get kind of decent at it. And then I had a massive growth spurt probably around, like I say, grade 7 or 8. Probably grew up to like over 6 feet. I don't even know the exact amount there. So then I started growing, and I was like, well, I'm pretty tall now, so might as well try out the sport. And the love kind of grew for it from then. Probably started playing competitive around pretty late grade 10 or 11, and I kind of just took off from there. So kind of how I got started.
Yeah, that's definitely you're kind of seeing the trend with just youth hockey numbers declining over the years because I mean, I played goalie, which is a more expensive position just because of the gear, right? So I mean,
Right.
it definitely
That's
is.
what I wanted to play. I wanted to play
Yeah,
goalie too. It's goalie or defenseman, but it's too expensive.
yeah, it is. It's expensive. I know for me, even like the triple A programs, then too. And if you want to play like more competitively, the cost just definitely adds up. So I know playing basketball definitely would be a cheaper option. So that makes sense. But so. Yeah, once you started getting into basketball and playing a little bit competitively there, and you mentioned your growth spurt. Obviously, university teams start reaching out. When did I guess when did you realize that that the university route was probably going to be an option, and were you kind of looking down to the states for maybe NCAA offers, or was it just
Mm.
mainly in Ontario and Canada?
Well, I think like like for every young basketball player, they want to they want to try to pursue the D1 dream or a D2 or whatever it might be. So, but like I said, like I was a late bloomer. I only started playing. I went to a sports high school in Markham called Bill Carter Secondary School, and I started getting kind of decent around grade 11, grade 12. Grade 12, I got voted on like the top five for York Region, like some All-Star teams. So I started like opening up some things for me there, but I was a pretty late bloomer, so I didn't really. I don't think I really had the chance to go and do one. Even though I was growing so fast, I was pretty skinny, so I didn't have the weight really to hang with those guys. So I looked into it. I thought about maybe like a D2 or something that would be cool, but I never really, compared to other kids, I didn't really look into it as my main option, and kind of just wanted to stay in Canada. So maybe near the end of grade 12, some universities started contacting me, but I started contacting universities as well, the ones I wanted to go to, and then kind of took off from there.
Hmm. And that's actually a big topic point in recruitment is people saying, hey, like kids, like don't be afraid to reach out to certain universities that you want to go to, right? And a lot of people,
Mhm.
they say, don't have your parents contact us, like contact us yourself and stuff like that. Is there any tips or tricks, I guess, you would recommend for some young potential university athletes?
Yeah, for sure. I would say like when reaching out to coaches, Canada or US, obviously like a highlight tape is great, showing like your strengths and things you can have potential to improve on. I also talk about your academics a lot. I think a lot of like younger athletes are so focused on the sport that they don't really talk about the academics. I know for a lot of schools, like there's certain requirements to get in, so you definitely need to take care of that. And if you do have strong academics, definitely recommend. I recommend talking to the coaches and letting them know that you have this, because there's plenty of scholarships and grants and bursaries that these athletes can apply for. It would make them help them get into school probably a little easier. I do that. Obviously state your previous competitive background, maybe give your coach's number or all your trainers for, references and stuff like that. That always helps, I would say.
Hmm. So we'll talk about the decision that you ended up making, because obviously how I know you is through just us being classmates at the University of
Mm.
Ottawa and whatnot. So, yeah, when did U Ottawa catch your radar and ultimately making the decision to commit there?
Right. So at first I went to school. I took a long path to Ottawa. I victory lap in high school, did a grade 13. Then I went to St. Mary's in Halifax. I went there for like a month or two, and I just realized it wasn't really for me. So when I came back, I took that year off. Took a class at York because they were actually recruiting me. Thought about it, didn't really like it there either. And then I was watching. I think it was like OUA semifinals or finals. I think I was just watching a game. I saw Johnny Brandon Mescal hit like a OT winner or something like that, game winner. And just like the way the team was playing, you could tell the team was so close, and the chemistry was amazing. It was exciting basketball, up and down, fast paced, and it just looked like something I wanted to be a part of. So Ottawa wasn't recruiting me, so I just drafted up an email, got my old coach's number, like put up my stats, and told them they can call any coach, any reference I had, and sent it off to Coach James DeGroot at U Ottawa. And he said, if you come here, like I can't promise you anything. Like I can't even really promise a spot on the team or something. You could redshirt, and it's going to be a grind. But it seemed like an opportunity that I was willing to take, and I took it, and kind of just went on from there.
Yeah. What were some of the biggest challenges throughout, just going to St. Mary's, being there for a month, and then deciding that that wasn't really for you? And then, I've made that move going from the East Coast
Mm-hmm.
to, Central. It's definitely tough. So I mean, going from St. Mary's back, and then just trying to find a spot, and then when you kind of get
Yeah.
that opportunity, there's no guarantee there.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty tough. Like just having to go to a school and leaving so shortly. It's kind of hard on the parents. My mom was pretty disappointed. My dad was disappointed. They thought maybe like the university route like wasn't for me. Maybe I wasn't smart enough like, academically, or maybe I was just too focused on basketball. They're like, did you just leave because of basketball? And no. And then I have younger brothers as well, so then they see me bouncing around a couple schools. So just trying to manage the emotions of your family and your friends and stuff, because like basically you don't want to see like a dropout, right? But if you're not happy, you got to kind of change things up. So just having to deal with that, and staying focused yourself too, because obviously you're disappointed as well. Like you thought I was all excited, to take this opportunity, didn't work out, and then you're kind of hit a low there. So just got to bounce back from that and stay positive, I would say.
Hmm. And before we kind of get into the OUA and just going through the regular season with you, Ottawa, um, talk briefly about your time in the AUS and just the basketball talent there, because I know there's a lot of different connections that I've seen. I mean, Sean Stokwa, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
when he finished up at Acadia, he came over and had a big role with the GGs, and then there's other guys who went back out that way to play. And then, I mean, you've seen the performance from Dalhousie there in the final 8. That was pretty
Right.
incredible.
Yeah. I would say like the basketball area, there's definitely no shortage of talent. Like it's an extremely talented league. Um, Probably the thing that I would notice the most would be like the structure. I feel like the OUA, like it's very structured. There's every team has multiple plays. The scouting is right on point. I think in the AUS, it's a little more like free flowing, maybe more individual play. And just coming from the AUS to U Ottawa was a huge adjustment, because I was kind of used to solid basketball. My basketball IQ was a little lower because I was a late bloomer in high school, so I've never been exposed to that sort of coaching. So it was definitely an adjustment period coming from the AUS to over here, but it's definitely a great league. And as you can see, Dalhousie is always a powerhouse every year. Great coaching, great players. So
Mhm. But yeah, so let's talk about that first year with U Ottawa. You're like you said, you might have the red shirt. Yeah.
yeah, so came there. Got settled in and definitely had a red shirt. The guy that I think the team, my first year was first in Canada, first second Canada. So it was just like a learning year. Learning the plays, all the sets. Out of bounds, sideline, out of bounds, like transition, half court. So just learning all of those. and just kind of catching up to speed because those guys were, you know, top one of the top players, like you know, Johnny, Mike, Gab, Vic, all those guys were top players in the league. So just kind of catching up to speed and just being able to hang in there physically and mentally with those guys. But that was pretty much my first year, and then, you know, just getting stronger in the weight room, just working on your game, and just trying to develop to a point where I could play down the road.
Mm-hmm. What were some big takeaways from those guys? Obviously, you listed a lot there, but any kind of pointers that they gave, or just advice that kind of still was present throughout your time there? Maybe even something you keep actively practicing in your day to day.
Just like the dedication that all the older guys had to the sport. Like I thought, you know, I thought I worked a decent amount on my game, but clearly that wasn't the case when it came to U Ottawa. These guys would be, you know, in the gym an hour before practice. They go to every individual workout, every weight workout. They wouldn't leave till they made a certain amount of shots, and they would always just hold everyone accountable. And they were great leaders too, great teammates. You know, if someone, they could tell when someone was a little down or something was distracting them. And that's what I took the most and applied to my life now, is just trying to be like a social person in these social settings, and being able to bring people up and, you know, kind of take care of others and just try to lead by example.
Mm-hmm. And so one thing with playing at the University of Ottawa, obviously the big crosstown rival there is Carleton.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I've chatted with the Panda game before on this podcast with a few people, Tremaine and Sawyer. But
Nice.
another big matchup there is obviously the Capital Hoops Classic between the two basketball programs. So I mean, first of all, what's it like playing in that, and then just trying to mentally prepare for that opponent, because I mean it is pretty obvious of the just the history there with that Ravens
Right.
program. And I mean Dave Smart is just there's so much praise for him and what he's done and all the national championships and the incredible amount of hype that just goes along with that program.
Right. Well, thankfully, since I was like a red shirt, and then my minutes like slowly increased by year, I had an opportunity to watch. Mostly, I didn't play, and I think I only played in the last couple of minutes of the Capital Hoops, maybe my second year or third year, before I was able to really put in some meaningful minutes. But I was able to watch and just see how, you know, the starters and the players who came off the bench managed their emotions the best they could, and I was able to get a feel for the atmosphere even in the first couple of minutes. I was able to come on the court. So when I played the most, which is in my last year, I think I probably played like 12, 15 minutes in that game. It was pretty crazy. You know, there's like 10,000 people. You're playing the best team in Canada, like all the time, and you know, there's just so much excitement before. I'd say before the game, like I was definitely so nervous before I was able to step on the court. But once you're on there, like it's almost like all the sound kind of drowns out. And at the end of the day, you're just playing basketball with me and four other teammates that, you know, we have each other's back and have a ton of trust in. So once you get settled in there, it doesn't really change too much. But definitely, I'd say before you get on the court, that's it's pretty nerve wracking for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I guess how's the preparation just the week of kind of differ? Like I know, say any other opponent maybe has like one kind of star player, but
Mm-hmm.
when you go up against them, it really kind of is a full, complete lineup. So where's the I guess preparation uh, drive to?
Right. You know, like it is a complete lineup, like you said. So with weaker teams, you can really zero in on one player. With Carleton, obviously, you can't really do that. So, but you can't prepare for every single player in the roster either, because you know you don't have time, right? It's not a playoff game. It's just a fun and exciting game. So you approach it like in any other team, but you just focus more on the attention to detail. So if this player does this, you try to scout that. Try to learn all their sets the most so you can. Obviously, like we'll go do shoot around at the Canadian, or it was the Canadian Tire Center where I played. I know they changed it last year for the it's at Lansdowne. But you go there, try to get a feel for the nets and for the backdrop, because it's much deeper than obviously university courts. But other than that, you know, maybe you pay more attention to detail and to the players, because it is such a big game and you want to win the game. But we don't try to change up too many things during the week. Try to keep it as standard as possible, I would say, for us, at least for U Ottawa.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think it says about just the U Ottawa program to, having some success with Carleton in later years? I know the last Capital
Mhm.
Hoops win was besides this year was I think 4 or 5 years ago, but now seeing
Yeah.
them kind of win both men's and women's program this past season. What do you think it just kind of says for U Ottawa basketball?
I just think it's showing that we can hang with the best of the best. I know people would always say before, we easily beat the bad teams, but when it comes to the good teams, maybe we weren't there to play. But I think it shows like how hard the players before, during, and after are working for this program. How good the coaching staff is. Coach Jimmy puts in a ton of preparation for every team he plays, and he knows Carleton very well. So it just shows how far the program has come and how the future is really bright for you, Ottawa, I would say.
Hmm. I think it also, just the fact that you guys are like, you're with the women's team all the time as well too. So I mean, there's definitely
Mm-hmm.
takeaways from that when you're seeing like the success that that program has been having
Right.
over the last, I'd say 3 or 4 years for sure. And the fact that you guys kind of get to almost go through your seasons together because I know you guys
Mm-hmm.
travel a nice bit together and you're
Yeah.
always playing the same opponents and stuff like that. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it just I guess talk about that experience a little bit.
Yeah, like it's nice having another a team that has the same ambitions and the same goals and the same drive and the same motivation level as their players. So, if you see the women's team in the say they're in the gym before us having practice and they're working really hard, then you want to do the same. You want to do the same. If the women teams, they always play first. So, say we're playing Queens or something on the road, they win their game, then we're more motivated. Obviously, want to win, but seeing them win first, like we don't want to be the team that loses. So we want to win our game too. If the women team plays Carleton really well, then we want to do the same. Maybe you can take some of the coach Andy Sparks, I believe, is a really good coach. So you see some of the plays he puts in, or the way he gets his players to play hard every time. Then you want to take that philosophy and put it to your own game. So it's nice being able to travel with them and seeing how they do things. They offer a different perspective onto the games like that. So it's nice to take that and apply it to areas of our game as well.
Hmm. And so before the one thing I want to talk to you about too is academics, and you've kind of mentioned that before. But before we just dive in to academics, as an alumni now, just kind of looking back
Mm-hmm.
on all of it, where do you see yourself? I guess in the alumni community.
I just want to be like I love you, Ottawa. Like I was there for 6 years, and I just want to be as involved as I can with the team. I'm back home in Aurora, the GTA now. I'm not sure if I'll come back to Ottawa, but I just want to stay involved in all the activities and donating toward the team, meeting some of the younger players if I come up, say for a home opener. Staying close with Coach Jimmy and the other coaching staff. They were great to me while I was there, and I see myself just being an active alumni. I always want to play in like the senior, or sorry, not the senior, the alumni game before the season starts, and just staying involved as much as I can.
Hmm. Yeah, so we'll dive into academics, and I know you've had a pretty interesting route, like you kind of
Mm-hmm.
mentioned before. Uh, how I know you is just from communication classes, and then that was kind of where your undergraduate field was, and then you kind of led into a master's in sports management. Just talk to me about that whole process.
Yeah, so part of the reason why I did the grade 13 year was to get more looks into basketball, was also to get my own academics up because my marks actually weren't good enough to get into university. I think I barely squeaked into U Ottawa there. I'd applied for just a 3 year Bachelor of Arts before I was able to upgrade that to communications. And then communication was great. That led to my master's and academic all Canadian as well in my final year. And then yeah, the master's program. I have such a love for sports, so it seemed like a very interesting program, and it seemed like an opportunity to work on the skills that say you and I would learn through communication. So a lot of presentations, a lot of writing and research skills. So I saw the opportunity there, and I took it. It's a nice 1 year program now, so I know sometimes after the undergrad, 2 more years of school is pretty tough. So seeing it be a 1 year program is nice to me. You get in there, you get your work done, and before you know it, now you have the master's degree on top of your undergrad. So I really liked it.
Mhm. And I mean, it's two fields that a lot of people wouldn't really kind of tie together, because I
Hmm.
mean, the sports management kind of goes through that human kinetic stream, and that's kind of where you see a lot of the applicants is doing their
Yeah.
undergraduate in. But yeah,
Hmm.
talk to me about being almost, a faculty of arts grad in that kind of environment, and maybe break down some of the similarities there, or just kind of debunk the differences that people think are present.
Right. For sure. Yeah, I think the majority of my classmates were like human kinetic undergrad grads, or maybe a couple economic or business ones. For me, it was definitely interesting coming in from the arts. I think I was one of the only ones. But it was an adjustment for sure, because while the program falls underneath the human kinetics, it's not. There's no like science, biology, or anything like that. There was, it'd be in trouble, but I was able to use my communication skills and apply them towards like the presentations and all the group work and stuff. And I found that that was actually an advantage for me. Just being able to use like my insight, and then combine it with the HK people who knew a lot about like sports and some of the more advanced topics we had to do for our master's projects. Being able to combine that into like one overall really good team really helped for sure.
Hmm. So also throughout your time too, you ended up getting that academic all Canadian there in your last, I believe it was last season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah, it was last season. Yeah.
yeah. So like, how'd that accomplishment feel? Because I know you mentioned before the whole process of getting worried with the whole, okay, is university the route for me? Having to
Yeah,
hit
for
grade
sure.
13 to get your grades up, and then you walk away with that academic all Canadian status.
Yeah, that was cool. Like it was really cool. So, like I said, I came in a 3-year Bachelor of Arts. So to get into communications, it was like one of the more. It's becoming one of the more popular programs, I think, at U Ottawa. So I had to bump up my marks to be able to get into that program. So once I got into that, I had a really good first year, and then I kind of chilled out and started embracing like the ball is life kind of mentality, and my marks started slipping a bit. So I didn't like that. So I got him back to where I was comfortable with, and then I found with communications, like every year, I don't know if you might agree with this as well. You kind of understand like how to study and kind of how the courses go, and I found it got easier and easier, at least for me, for every year. So then in my fourth year, I had a really good first semester. It was like above 8.0, and the second semester was good, but I just missed the academic all Canadian. And then I realized, like after some injuries and stuff, that I probably wasn't going to be playing pro basketball. So I figured like if I can get this academic all Canadian, it'll look nice on the resume and all that. So and for further for graduate school, it would be good to get me in there as well. So I just made a push for it in my final year, and I think I finished with an 8.0 on the dot because I did bad in one of those summer school classes, but I was able to pull it off right there. It was a close call, but it felt really good for sure.
Yeah, hit that buzzer beater, like.
Yeah, I think it was
um,
literally 8.0 on the dot.
no, it's awesome, and it's a great accomplishment. I'm definitely jealous. I could never get my marks up to that point, but or be an
Yeah.
athlete for that matter. Yeah, so you just mentioned it there really briefly about dealing with injuries, and I know you missed
Mm.
some time because of those injuries. I mean, any advice there that you would give to anybody who finds themselves in a similar situation?
Right. Like so, I had to do microfracture surgery in my left knee, which is a really bad surgery for basketball players, or I think even for any like human in general. So I had to miss a full year. My recommendation is if you know you have surgery or you have upcoming surgery, just try to don't just wait to your surgery. I might have done that a little bit too much myself, but I would say get into the gym and try to strengthen whatever muscles you need to strengthen before that surgery, and then obviously after, just pay attention to your physio. Go to all your physio appointments. If they give you rehab exercises, do it the best you can. Maybe even try a little harder, do an extra rep or something like that when it's possible. So don't go too hard off the bat, but just really paying attention to your body and to your physio exercises and building up that muscle so that moving forward, you'll be healthy and be able to try to return to the best you can of your athletic ability.
Hmm. So Yeah, that's it almost brings me to everything that I kind of wanted to chat with you. The one more thing that I got is I know you're a big family guy. You're always hyping up your siblings on your
Hmm.
IG and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for
just
sure. I love them. Yeah.
tell me about your siblings and just kind of why it you're so proud and makes
Yeah.
trying to be, I guess, a good role model as an older brother and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. Like these are the guys, like, when I was playing basketball on the street, like they're kind of like my test subjects. Like, okay, like you two guard me at the same time. Or, I was always playing basketball with them. But like I grew up, my parents separated when I was like 15 or 16. So like, and I'm the oldest of my older brothers. So they all, looked up to me as like a basketball player, as a role model, kind of like a father figure. So I like being back home now and, being able to hang out with them, being able to play basketball with them. I drove them to practices and stuff when in my year off when I came back to St. Mary's. So they're a huge part of my life, and they're like a reason why after my surgery I try to get it in a good year of basketball, try to do well in school, and just try to do everything I in my life best of my ability, so that hopefully they can see it when they're growing up. And and I'm not perfect by no means, but I'm just trying to do my best so that they can see that, and then they can have a good life and professional life and could do good in school and all that stuff. So
Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely
hmm.
get that. I got a little sister. I don't know if she looks up to me like that, but I think I'm still probably the annoying older
Yeah,
brother. But
no, I definitely know my brothers as well. Like I hope they look up to me, but they might not. They might just find me annoying, but we'll have to see down the road.
yeah, professional life. I know you've had some pretty cool roles too, just in the business world. I know you were at
Hmm.
TD Place for a
Yeah.
little bit there, but yeah, talk to me actually a little bit about what you're up to now as just an alumni
Hmm.
and a member in the business community and sport world and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, so like I've had a couple of cool work experiences I was able to do during the summer, thanks to connections and friends. I was able to spend one summer down in Boston for their corporate communications team as an intern. After I was done my undergrad, I worked sales for the TD Place, so Auto Red Blacks mostly, and then I went back to school. But now obviously it's strange times thanks to COVID, and it's really hard to get a job these days. A lot of businesses are finally coming back, but they're not hiring, or they're just keeping the employees that they have. So I'm looking at all options. Um, I know my master's is in sports management, but right now there's no sports, and eventually I'm going to run out of money. So I'm open to any opportunity, just anything where I can use my communication skills and my people skills, um, and just be myself and hopefully have a good fit. So a free agent right now in terms of professional opportunities, but I'm sure something will come down the road soon.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that it's a strange time to just be graduating from any program and just kind of
Hmm.
being out in the this like sports world almost looking and whatnot. But
Right. Right.
um, honestly, man, this was a great chat. And I'm really glad I had you on. And this is actually the part of the podcast where I just throw the show over to you. So the platform's
Hmm.
yours. I mean, you can talk about anything you want, anything pressing, whatever, childhood story, maybe
Yeah.
a life lesson or, yeah, just anything at all. The show is yours.
Well, first of all, just thank you for having me on. It's my first podcast I ever did, but we always chat and stuff like that, so it felt super comfortable. But maybe I'll just ask you, how are you holding up with during the COVID? And I think you mentioned are you back home in Ottawa and stuff?
Yeah,
So yeah,
well,
how are you doing?
yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm back home in Newfoundland right now, so obviously, like I've had to kind of adjust this show a little bit. We had a
Right.
different format when it was a little bit easier to film with people. We've had
Hmm.
like zero active cases though for almost probably the
Nice.
better part of like a couple months. So life is like kind of like it's weird. It almost seems like I'm a little bit like maybe in the future as opposed to my Ontario
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of like restrictions. So I've been able to film in person with one Newfoundland athlete, which was a lot of fun. But
Nice.
that's kind of what I've been at. I'm looking for different opportunities too, and
Right.
yeah, it's weird to work in sports when there's no real
There's
kind of
no sports.
no
Yeah.
sports going on. You're seeing things
Yeah.
slowly get back together, right? But I mean,
Right.
those are the big leagues, right? And a
Hmm.
lot of people kind of take the route of working with minor leagues and university, and then kind of seeing
Yeah.
the jump to the NHL. So it's kind of hard to take that jump right off the bat, right? So
Yeah. So like I don't know. So for me personally, I feel like maybe I might have to even revisit like the sports route even later, just because, like you said, the professional leagues have those finances and those resources, have bubble environments. But obviously, minor league sports and universities and the path that people like me and you need to take to get to those big leagues aren't. It's not as possible. Would you agree with that, or like, what do you think about that?
yeah, no, I think that's pretty much kind of where it is at, right? Like it's very rare. I haven't seen it much where people kind of say their first job opportunity is the
Right.
NFL. I don't know these people personally, but I follow a few like NFL videographers who are young,
Hmm.
but they still kind of worked with big NCAA programs before they kind of got that next level opportunity, right? So I mean
Yeah.
it is what it is, and right now the situation, I sometimes hate saying that because I find it never really is what it is, right? There's always something
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
try and do and make the
Hmm.
change, but yeah, it's definitely a weird environment right now, and I mean
Yeah.
the biggest thing is just kind of what I like to do is just keep myself working, right? So I've kind of dove into like the landscape photography a little bit. Like
Nice.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm home in Newfoundland. Not a lot of people get to see that, get
Right.
this experience this province. So trying to showcase that in different ways.
Hmm.
Yeah, spending time with my grandfather. We had to reschedule this, or we'll move
Yeah.
it up a
Fishing.
day.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm
Nice. Yeah.
going on a little salmon
That'll
fishing
be
trip
fun.
tomorrow. So yeah, just doing stuff like that, and actually kind of enjoying and embracing this time off, because I know
Hmm.
well, I call it time off, but I've found ways to kind of keep working
Stay
through the
busy.
days. But yeah, I know I would never really have this much time home. Like I think this is as much time as I've had in
Hmm.
probably like
Oh, yeah, same
6
here.
months, right? So
Yeah, like this is the longest. I pretty much stayed in Ottawa for like 6 years straight. I think I go home like for like a week or two in the summer. I just liked Ottawa, and we had to train and stuff. Like we would train year round. So this is the longest I've been home as well. But it feels nice. So
mm,
it's definitely like a positive. If you're searching for positives to take during this pandemic,
mm.
it's nice to be able to be back in Newfoundland or back in Aurora and hang out with the family.
Yeah, no, I said 6 months, but I don't know where that number came. It's probably been
Yeah.
most I've been home in like 4 years, right? I
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's like you just kind of get in that process, and you almost don't want to leave the city over the summer months, because there is always so
Hmm.
much to do, and whether it's training or for me just trying to practice the craft, and like I'm kicking myself watching some of the stories and all the guys working out, and it's like, oh, this is content that I could be creating when
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to document, right? So yeah, no, it's definitely it's interesting. I'm curious how like we'll see like maybe some kind of normal with like return to play. I know like just watching like the MLB get ready for their like shortened season, but then like
Yeah.
you're hearing guys like, I mean, David Price is a big time starting pitcher with the
Yeah. It's
Dodgers.
not playing.
He's not going to play, and so
Yeah, you're starting to see more and more names not going to play. Like Avery Bradley's not going to play for the Lakers. He's a starter, like a great defensive player. So like it's pretty interesting because like even I feel like even the team who wins, say MLB or the NBA or the NHL, like are we gonna put like an asterisk by this? Like, is it gonna really like I'm not quite sure.
yeah, I think that debate I always find though is like the one thing is that everybody is under the same circumstances, right? So at the end of the
Right.
day, it's
Yeah.
like they won a championship with the rules and the format in place.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, because at the end of the day, too, when you think about it, say I'm trying to think. Well, let's say Anthony Davis, right, on the Lakers.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't won an NBA championship yet. But
No. No. Yeah. Yeah.
let's say the Lakers go on and win in this season. Say
Hmm.
15, 20, maybe even 30 years down the road, whenever he's up for the Hall of Fame, and they listed all his accolades, it's still going to be that
Yeah,
he
for
won an
sure.
NBA championship, right? So I don't like when I look at it like that, I see like, you know what, they're probably not gonna like. There's not gonna
Yeah,
be that much of an asterisk.
I would agree. Like I say, like maybe they win, and there's a couple of haters or a couple of people who disagree right after say a championship. But for any sport, maybe. But I think maybe down the years, people tend to forget things,
Mm.
and they're just going to see NBA champion. And I guess I agree with you that NBA champion is NBA champion. So I
Like
agree with you on
that.
that point.
Oh, who was it? I think the Brian Scalabron clip or something, where someone asked him how it felt to barely play in the finals with
Yeah,
the Celtics
Scalabrini.
when they won, and he
Oh
was
yeah,
basically
yeah.
like, you know what? In 2 years, I'll tell my kids that I started. In 5 years, I'll tell them that I played
Oh yeah,
30
yeah.
minutes, and then
Exactly right.
uh,
So.
in
Uh,
15 years, I'll tell them I was the NBA Finals MVP. So
exactly. So
yeah,
yeah,
so
like I think down the road, like um, like down the road, it'll be accepted, and I think it's gonna be interesting for any sport seeing like which athletes maybe like took their training or at home or more seriously than others. Like I think it'll be interesting. NBA starting up. You'll see like maybe some stars are falling behind while some stars or maybe return to their form right away or maybe even better than they were before. So I'm looking forward to it for sure at the end of
yeah.
July.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hmm.
We'll see what happens. But anyways, man, this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed chatting with you and catching up. And
Yeah.
hopefully, I'll see you in person soon. And maybe we can, the old format is, we film like a fun activity. So who knows? Maybe I could take you on a game of horse or something. And
Yeah, some of them play some. I don't play much basketball these days, so
yeah,
who knows, you know?
I,
But
I'm
yeah,
I'm
for sure.
guaranteed I'll still get absolutely worked. The last jump shot I took resulted in a rolled ankle, and my
Oh
career high
boy.
was I think I had 3 points in the Newfoundland winter trial winter game. So I had 3 points one game, and that was my career high.
All right. Well, now that you tell me that, I'm pretty confident myself. But it is horse, right? So horse is horse. You never know what happens. So.
All right, man. This has been a pleasure, guys. Make sure to check out Andrew on social media. All those links are going to be down below and just linked on in the description and whatnot. So, yeah, he's a great dude. It's been a pleasure to get to know him over my time at the university. And yeah, in the meantime, stay best kind.